Today, we're going to talk about the paint system we're using on our boats, on super yachts like this one, Bering 145, and on the boats under 24 meter. Here's Bering 88. So here we have a display explaining the whole boat system. Let's do it layer by layer. Starting from the bare metal, it's have to be sandblasted and thoroughly cleaned, and then we apply the protective primer. This primer is getting in a chemical bond with the steel, and then on top of this primer we apply fairing. It's usually 4 layers of fairing. 1 layer, get it dry, smooth it out, next layer applied, same process. It's a very lengthy process for the big boat. It takes about 9 months to do. And then we have a liquid fairing, which is taking all the imperfections, and it's also getting dry and hard, and then we have to sand it. On top of it, it's middle layer primer and the finish primer. And then on the finish primer, which is as smooth as the surface of the finish paint, we applied 3 layers of the top coat. So you see how many layers on top of the primer. All the questions how it's rusting, it's not rusting. It's covered with the multiple layers of the primers, fairings, another primers, and then the top coats. On inside, very similar process, same primer on top of the bare metal, which is cleaned to the perfection. And then we apply mask coat on the exterior surfaces and some interior bulkheads, including tanks. If you can see it, it will have this enamel surface, or we apply the fiberglass insulation on top of this. That's the process. And in the engine room, it's added some soundproofing barriers like these special tiles, and then fiberglass insulation, and then the also soundproofing panels. You can see that metal is not exposed. You don't see the metal on the boat. If you see the metal, you have to address it. But let's see it on the boats, because this is a display, and the best thing to understand how it's all done is to go to the real boats and see it. Let's go. Behind me is a Bering 72, one of them under construction. You can see clearly the bright and light color. It's aluminum part, the superstructure, and this rusty looking, but it's not rust, it's already primed. It's a steel which been primed during the process of preparation when it was leveled and make sure that thickness is even. And in this process at the factory where the steel get prepared, it's already primed. So it's coming to us primed and pre-cut. After that, the metal get welded as well as aluminum. The boat, before we start sandblasting, the boat looked like this. The boat is nearly completed, so welding is above finished, and after welding is finished, we do a sandblasting for metal part of the boat. It's a special machine. This process takes 3 to 4 weeks inside and out. After sandblasting, and it's a short period of time, we need to apply protective primer. You can see very big difference between the cleanup parts around seams. You can see it's very, very clean and shiny, almost like a stainless steel. When the metal in this condition, we apply protective primer. We have to be absolutely sure there is no rust and no leftovers of the sandblasting. So we need to thoroughly clean it after sandblasting and then apply protective primer. And behind me, it's another Bering 72 with primer already applied. So you see it's snow white. It's very highly adhesive primer which penetrates into the metal and get into chemical bond, and then all the subsequent layers apply to this primer. So it's very important to apply it on very clean, thoroughly clean surface, on steel and on aluminum. And then all the layers on top of it is attached to this surface. The aluminum outside now looks exactly the same as in steel. The aluminum part of the boat is not getting sandblasted, it's just getting cleaned by brushes, of course electric brushes. You know, aluminum is not getting oxidation as fast as steel. So steel start to rust. If it's humid and hot, the process can go very rapidly. The process of oxidation, which is normal for any kind of steel except for stainless steel. Aluminum will stay shiny for a very long period of time. However, we put the primer for the application of subsequent layers, and on the inside it's not necessary to apply the primers. Now you can see the application of the fairing. It's the lengthiest process of all. We have 4 layers of fairing. Now it's a Bering 125 and the primer is completed. You see the white primer, and right on this white primer you see the application of this red fairing compound, and it's repeated for 4 times. So it has to be grinded, leveled, and it's applied again, let it dry, and then again we need to fair, smooth it up. After that the boat is look like a super yacht. You can see the initial stage, or I would say this part is a mid stage of the fairing application. Average thickness of the fairing throughout the boat is around 7 mils. Some parts it's thick, some parts it's thin, and you can see clear on this part throughout this line. It's a bulwark. You can see it starts from very thick and then thinning down towards forward. It's become like 3 millimeters. The fairing needed to cover all these welding seams, which we don't grind, so we cover them with the fairing, and ideal leveling, so the boat is level up very precisely. This surface should be absolutely horizontal, and again all the imperfection of the steel, because it's a fire distortion, it's a welding seams, everything get hidden by this layer. It's extremely durable, it's very strong and yet flexible substance, which make the boat like a sculpture, one piece. The interiors of the boat, the aluminum superstructure and the steel structure, we applied a moss coat, which you can see it's kind of rubbery substance, similar to Sikaflex consistency-wise, so you can penetrate it with your thumbnail. Mainly, it serves as a protection from the condensation, because for the steel, for the metal boat, condensation, when it's cold outside and warm inside, the condensation process will start, even under the layer of the insulation. To prevent it, we apply the moss coat on all exterior surfaces and structures of the boat to prevent the condensation, and actually it's also work as a sound dampener and a vibration dampener. But the primary purpose of this application is to prevent condensation, so that you can go in a cold weather without happening that boats start to work as a pump. It's a good example here. You see the thickness of the fairing here, and it starts from here, it's just a few mils here, and it's going to about 25 mils here. Now it's a stage of the filler primer. It's on top of the fairing, we have a layer of filler primer, and then on top of the filler primer we put finish primer, and then we apply the top coat. So you can see clearly how many layers of epoxy substances protecting the metal, because very frequently asked questions, the steel boat is rusting, the metal boat is rusting. When it's encapsulated in these protective layers, it's going to be as new in 100 years from now, because the rusting, it's a process of oxidation. When we block the contact with the oxygen in form of wet air or seawater, this steel will stay protected for a long period of time, as long as you not damage this. However, if you damage this, let's say you bump into the concrete pole and it's crashed and you have steel exposed, you have to apply the protective primer. You have to put phosphoric acid to clean up whatever rust formation already formed, and then you apply the protective primer, and then you're good to go until you get to the place where you can fix your fairing and apply all these layers, match it perfectly with the paint and repair it properly. The main thing on the steel boats, if you have a damage, if you see the bare metal, you have to address it with application of the primer, which is very easy and anybody can do it. It's not a rocket science, it's just phosphoric acid and the application of protective primer. That's it. Now here we can see the finished result. So you can see these three colors, the black, it's a rub rail around swim platform. This is the color of the hull. I love this color. This is Bering 78, gonna to be splashed very soon. And this is the bootstrap. On this boat, it's distinctive red color. This is the 3 layers of the finish coat, which apply wet on wet to have a depth, to have a shine, to have a reflection. It's very important. It's an art. In my opinion, it's an art to apply this part after fairing is completed, after we put the liquid fairing. Now it's all completed and you can see the end result. It's absolutely flawless. The quality of paint, same like on Rolls-Royce. And now we can see the finished result of this elaborate work. As I told you, it's most lengthy process, maybe together with interiors, so about the same length of process, but the end result is absolutely perfect, very durable surface, which encapsulate the steel buried inside, steel and aluminum, because here's an aluminum and this is steel. You can see how it's sculpture, how it's shaped, all the radiuses are perfect. You cannot see any signs of welding seams. This boat, it's like one single piece of perfect sculpture.